Hello and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by my safety blanket and the kind of dark background, it's time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for another installment of scary stories to tell in the dark. I recently just saw the previews for the new movie coming out, and it's supposed to be like PG-13 or whatever, but that stuff is scary, okay? I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to watch it. It looks like it should be rated R. I was afraid during the 3-minute video. It's just we're gonna keep it safe and easy with the stories. We're just gonna stick to the stories. I'm gonna go ahead and light up my candle. I already have my blanket. The room's already dark. And now I'm just gonna turn this light off. Please hold while I pull up the stories because I'm unprofessional and I don't have it ready yet, so. Okay, I'm back and it is slightly a little bit darker. I don't know how that happened, but we are gonna go ahead and start reading our stories. Now, of course, what would this video be without the spooky music? Now, the first story we're gonna read is The Red Spot. One night, a young girl was sleeping in her bed when a spider crawled across her face. It stopped for a few minutes on her left cheek, then it went on its way. When she woke up the next morning and looked in the mirror, she noticed a red spot on her cheek. "What's this?" she asked her mother. "It looks like a spider bite," her mother replied. "It'll go away, just don't scratch it." Soon the small red spot grew into a big red boil. "Look at it now," the girl said. "It's getting bigger." "That sometimes happens," her mother said. "It's coming to a head." In a few days, the red spot was even larger. "Look at it now," the girl said. "It hurts so much and it makes me look so ugly." "We'll have a doctor look at it," her mother said. "Maybe it's just infected." But the doctor couldn't see the girl until the next day. That night, she decided to take a nice, relaxing bath. As she lay soaking in the warm water, the boil suddenly burst. Out poured a swarm of tiny spiders from the eggs their mother laid in her cheek. The end. That's disgusting. Honestly, that's very disgusting. I don't want any spiders laying eggs in my face. Like, that's scary on like a different level of scary. Like, imagine that happened for real. Oh, no. Okay. That's so gross. Okay, let's read another short one. This one is called Viper. There was a man who inherited a house when his uncle died. The house sat on a hill outside of town, and rumor had it that the place was old and haunted. The man decided to move in straight away, despite his reservations. But late that night, a phone rang, and when he answered it, a creepy voice said,
"I am the Viper. I'll be there in 2 hours.
And then it hung up before he could say anything. Not long afterwards, the phone rang again, and the same creepy voice said,
"I am the Viper, and I'll be there in 20 minutes.
and hung up. This made the man quite nervous, and he began to wonder who this mysterious caller could be. Before he knew it, the phone was ringing again.
I am the Viper. I'll be there in 10 minutes.
The man was getting much more concerned now. A few minutes later, the phone rang.
I am the Viper. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Needless to say, the man began to panic. Again, the phone rang, and the man slowly lifted the receiver and put it to his ear.
I am the Viper. I'll be there in 1 minute,
said the voice. The man ran around locking all the windows and doors and then called the police. They told him that the officers were on their way. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. Shaking with fear, the man opened the door a crack and asked, "Is that the police?"
No,
replied the voice.
I am the Viper. I come every night to wash your windows. Where should I start?
Y'all, that wasn't even, okay. So apparently it's just a window wiper who has like a weird accent, and he pronounces his W's with a V. And he was just saying that he's a wiper and he comes every night to wash and wipe your windows. Where should I start? It's not even, oh my gosh. Okay, that was very lighthearted. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of scary at first, but okay, this is one that I remember very well. It's called Tye Doughty Walker. There was a small village in the middle of a dark forest. In the village, there was a haunted house that everyone was terrified to enter. Nobody would dare stay there overnight. Legend had it, every night at midnight, a bloody head fell down the chimney. One day, a rich man was passing through the village. After hearing about the haunted house, he offered $1,000 to whoever was brave enough to spend an entire night inside. None of the villagers would take him up on his bet, until a young boy stepped forward and raised his hand. The boy announced that he would spend the night in the haunted house as long as he could bring his dog with him. The man agreed, and it was settled. The next evening, the boy set off for the haunted house with his trusty dog following close behind. As he entered the dreary abode, he whistled a happy tune to calm his nerves. After doing a little exploring, he decided to make himself comfortable in the living room. He started a fire in the fireplace, then laid down on the couch with his dog and waited for morning to arrive. For a while, nothing happened. Then, a little after midnight, he thought he heard a strange noise over the cackling of the fire and the creaking of the house. It sounded like it was coming from somewhere out in the woods. Someone or something was singing a haunting tune.
Tye Doughty Walker,
sang the eerie voice. The boy stared out the window and his hair stood on end. Maybe it's just something taking a shortcut through the woods, he told himself. Then his dog suddenly perked up and sang, Lynchy, Kinchy, Collie, Molly, Dingo, Dingo. The boy could hardly believe his ears. His dog had never uttered a word before. Now it was answering the haunting voice in the woods. He pinched himself to make sure he wasn't dreaming. A few minutes later, the boy heard the voice singing again. This time, it was closer and louder.
Tye Doughty Walker,
sang the mysterious voice. And the dog answered again.
Lynchy, Kinchy, Collie, Molly, Dingo, Dingo.
This really had the boy scared. He was afraid that whoever was lurking in the woods would hear the dog singing and come get him. A few minutes later, the boy heard the voice singing again. It was in the backyard.
Tye Doughty Walker,
it cried. The dog sang back louder.
Lynchy, Kinchy, Collie, Molly, Dingo, Dingo.
A few minutes later, the boy heard the voice singing again. Now it was coming down the chimney.
Tye Doughty Walker,
it yelled. And again the dog sang back.
Lynchy, Kinchy, Collie, Molly, Dingo, Dingo.
Suddenly, a bloody head fell down the chimney. It missed the fire and landed right in front of the dog. The dog took one look at it and fell over from fright. Then, The head turned and stared at the boy and opened its mouth and screamed. The next morning, the rich man went to check on the boy. He found him on the floor of the haunted house. His hair turned white and he could not stop screaming. The end. Y'all, I used to read these stories as a kid. Like, these stories were written for kids. Let me turn the light on. Focus. Y'all, they made these stories specifically for kids. And they're terrifying. Tye Doughty Walker was a doozy. That was one of those that you just... What do you say to that? Like, what do you say after reading something like that? The first two were I mean, it was, the thought of it's kind of scary. The second one, it was scary leading up to it, then it just ended up being a joke. But that last one, no thank you. So that has been part 2 of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. There might be a part 3. Maybe we'll just go to something more happy and do like fairy tales or something. Because I have books of fairy tales, so that could be a possibility. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.